Okay.
Yes.
A Fawnbreak approach to fast. Those of you who I might have presented to before may well have seen Lionel Richie's famous tweet from 2012 when he was experimenting with the platform, and he sent one tweet which simply said, hello. And he was inundated by the world, and then he never tweeted again. So anyway, hello. I'm Amelia. I'm on the left-hand side with lots of gin. And if we are friends on Instagram, you will have seen a great deal of Finland and cold water swimming and all sorts of fun things. But that's kind of me, and this is Sera.
Hi, I'm Sera Miller. I seem to like running and making my children look like they're in Wes Anderson movies. That's me.
World Book Day.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Extraordinaire.
Yeah, multiple different points in their lives.
We are here today to talk to you about fast. So, a year ago, we set up a new type of organisation. We too talk about operating systems. So we talk about operating systems for brands, and I think it's funny when Lucy talks, I think a lot of the frustrations that she and Natalie and Nils had, Sera and myself had too. So I think you will find incredibly strong echoes, but some different perspectives and some different ways in. One of the frustrations that we had with places where we had worked in the past is that it struck us that we wanted to work in a faster way, a more flexible way, but that we were being pigeonholed into a way of working which felt that it was kind of layered and longer as opposed to faster and flatter. So we tried to think really hard about what would we do if we were going to start again? Because it struck us that the types of organisations that we were working in felt remarkably 20th century and really ill-suited to work at speed in the way that we wanted to work. And we kind of looked around and we couldn't see anywhere that we wanted to work. So we kind of set it up ourselves. And it wasn't to do with bravery. It was purely self-interest, because we kind of needed to have a job and we enjoy working, and we couldn't see where else to do it. So we kind of set it up. So we really love fast. And that feeling, I mean, you get it, you know, the bolt when you're just on fire and it moves quickly, and the flow, and it's just exhilarating, and it's so fun, and it's the wonderful bit of the job that we do. So we love fast. We also love Post-it notes. My goodness, we love Post-it notes. So I think between Uncommon and Fawnbreak, we probably keep the Post-it industry in business. So fast is really central to how we work. It's very fast, it's very fluid, it's very up on walls. It's a lot of vomiting your first draft. It's a lot of remembering those initial thoughts, because actually when you go back, we had this afternoon, I'm like, wow, this was really good stuff. And at the time you kind of don't realise, because you're kind of just thinking, but you kind of have to put it somewhere. So it's really, really central to what we do at Fawnbreak. So we talk about Fawnbreak being a brand strategy and experience design collective powered by independent talent. So we love the word, we love words starting with the letter F, but one word we don't use is we don't really like freelance. So we talk about independent talent as opposed to freelancers. So fast is really central to how we work. We have a little bit of a mantra, which is fast, flat and flexible, and I have to enunciate that, and if I've had any of my Finnish gin, I found it very hard to say. But fast, flat and flexible seems to us to be how planning and strategy needs to work. So we love fast, but we challenge the brief, and we don't buy into fast strategy because we don't think that is what we need to talk about.
We prefer to think of lean strategy. So fast for us isn't the thing that you should learn to do first. It's the getting good bit, to pull on Matt's intro. So lean strategy is about cutting the fat, cutting the layers, the process, the meetings, sometimes the people that aren't necessarily required to get to the answer. Lean strategy is about the minimum amount of people, minimum amount of time, maximum amount of quality. Taking all of those elements of whether that's lean startup movement, lean business, lean brands, applying that to strategy. And it's kind of, for us, it's about capturing that pitch feeling, the good bit, Not the shit, it's 2 in the morning, we don't have the answer and it's tomorrow and holy fuck. Not that bit. It's about that feeling of that core crew, that war room feeling where you've got it all up, right? You're in it, you're in the moment, you're collaborating. There's more than one of you. I think a huge part of kind of what we think kind of feeds the success of lean strategy is actually more than one person, not thinking in an echo chamber, forcing yourself to kind of work to deadlines and timeframes, but still really pushing yourself to be good. That pitch feeling where you're motivated by the fact that you want it to be right because you want to win, you want to nail it. It's not the thing that you want to do quickly to get it out of the way, it's because you want it to be the absolute best. You want it to show everything kind of about you. And a lot of that is just about being in that room, forward momentum, knowing that you're working towards a certain deadline or a time frame, having focus, real focus on the task at hand, and also, to echo a lot of Lucy's points, making sure you're focused on the problem and understanding what that is, getting clarity on that problem in that room between you. And fundamentally, just getting it done, getting it up on the wall, not overthinking it, not giving yourself that time of weeks on weeks to go away and pontificate and think about the big reveal and the big ta-da moment that you're going to do, thinking about finessing the deck and how beautiful it's going to be, actually just really focusing on cracking it and solving the problem.
So it's kind of funny, in our industry, creatives work in teams, but planners don't, and pairs. And there's a reason why when Sera asked us to talk, we said we come as a pair, but because actually when it comes to creative teams, in the olden days it used to be somebody who could draw and somebody who could write, and then but actually what it is 2 people together helping to fold the steel, helping to help you make sense of an early idea, and that bit where you kind of go, is this genius or is this really stupid? Is this obvious or actually is this really something quite different and new? And what we find is that actually without a pair, it's really hard to do it. And I think it's really hard to do it fast if you don't have a partner in crime. So we're 1 year in and we have some fast lessons from lean. So lean strategy gets rid of friction. Our advice back to you today is we ended up trying to create an operating system and a culture and an environment which allowed us to take the bits that we felt were getting in the way out. But I guess our challenge back to you and a gift, but actually everybody wants to work faster and more efficiently and smarter. And if you can help the team around you get rid of the bits that are getting in the way, I think you will be surprised by how receptive people are. So that sense of taking a breath and going, if I was going to sort of organise this team, if I was going to structure this, how would I do it to make it more frictionless? I think you'll find that people are open to that. So lean strategy gets rid of friction.
The lean strategy has sprints and accelerators. So when we think about how we're going to look at a project, we quite often start by thinking about what would typically, in a typical structural model, take months. How can we make that take weeks? How can what normally takes weeks take days, days take hours? And how we operate that and how we run that are through sprints, hacks, and accelerators. Taking the time to plan those short, deliverable-based kind of timeframes, whether that's a full day of people in a room or whether that's 5 to 6 weeks max on a deliverable. That's about that hack mentality of thinking about, you know you're in that space and you're together and that's the group of people that you have, but you're going to end up with something by the end of the day. It's not a pointless meeting noodling about how or what you might do. There's a clear brief, a kind of clear challenge. There's a discipline to these sessions. They're not chaotic, they're not haphazard, they're still based on the absolute fundamentals of what we do, but they are about trying to iterate, solve, resolve, work in groups, come back, sprint, and define and get to the problem. And for us, the key way that that happens is through the creation of what we call minimal viable teams. which started out almost
as a bad pun.
As a bad pun, and has actually really stuck. It's really resonated, and clients seem to really understand it. There's a couple of points on this. Firstly, a confession from me. So I've never had planner in my job title. Never even had strategy in my job title. Open yourself up to the fact, I know, like, what am I doing here?
Yes.
I'm about to get, like, security are about to come in, booed. And I don't say that as a badge of pride or honour. I say that in a, strategy isn't the domain just of planners. There are a lot of people who you can assemble in a room to solve a problem that don't come from a certain department. They might not even come from within your building. Working out who your minimal viable team to crack a problem should be different every time. Should not be based on who's available or who's free or who, you know, will always turn up for free food at lunch. It should be about working out who you need, whether it's for an hour or 2 hours for a very specialist kind of piece of input, whether it's for a specialist skill or a craft that they have, to kind of come together and solve that problem. And quite often, that also is about opening it up to the audience, stakeholders, and fundamentally the client. One of the biggest kind of successes that we've had with using this model is making sure that the client is present and in the room to solve those problems.
Yeah. So we also think lean strategy needs pacers. And I guess what I mean by that is I've been sort of thinking about this, and I was thinking about Nike breaking 2 when they tried to break the 2-hour marathon. And I sort of fell into a rabbit hole a bit of, he had something like 32 or 26, I should find out the right number. He had many, many pacers for different bits of the race. So he had pacers to help him slow down. He had pacers to help him at the end. He had, like, different pacers played different roles. And it struck me that actually we need those pacers as planners to help us run faster and smarter, and sometimes to slow down as well. And then we spent a long time, well, we do still spend a long time in Granary Square at Caravan. And then I was sort of sitting and noodling, and then in front of me was this picture, and it was it just said pacer in big words. And again, when we were sort of talking about this, we hadn't realised what this was all about, but it is all about pacers. And I think sort of different to role models, because role models are people you emulate, and pacers are people who help you run faster and smarter. So I think as planners or strategists or whoever you are, but you kind of have to find your pacers because they will help you enormously. And I guess our final point is lean strategy also needs slow. So if you go back to the brilliant Usain Bolt and the photo, he doesn't sprint all the time. You know, there are plenty of times when he has his chicken nuggets. And I suppose that actually finding that rhythm and finding your rhythm of very fast and sprinting and what your chicken nuggets are will help you achieve fast greatness. So thank you.